Good morning, everyone. It appears that snow is now spreading into areas that have not seen very much of it this year, which includes portions of West Virginia, and perhaps even North Carolina. We will be discussing that today. In addition, the overall weather pattern is preparing to shift, and we will begin to see more substantial snowfall out west, even in places like Utah, where snow has been quite scarce this season. Things are certainly beginning to change. I do believe there is more snow on the way for those areas. That snowfall could also become quite heavy in parts of British Columbia and Alberta, and there are definite signs that this snow could truly increase across this part of North America. It is remarkable how we are starting to build what is almost like a glacier across parts of Canada and the northern United States. We will talk all about that today. Let's take a closer look at where the weather advisories are right now. This is a map we have not seen yet this year. New winter weather advisories are now in effect for northern North Carolina. They are also active in Virginia, and that does include the city of Richmond. It does not, however, include the Tidewater region down toward Hampton Roads and over to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. This snow is going to remain to your west. On the southern edge of this storm system, even into parts of Richmond, there is a possibility of some mixing with freezing rain. But for now, winter weather advisories are in place for a couple of inches of snow. Lynchburg, the Hill City, back toward Roanoke, and Blacksburg, all the way down, not quite to the Tri-Cities. But once you get across the central parts of the mountains here on the eastern side, that is where we are expecting to see the most significant snowfall. I would say that generally along into the east of Interstate 77 is the main area, though a little bit could slip to the west. Then, up into southern West Virginia, some of this snow will manage to sneak a little farther to the north. I will show you that on the forecast models in just a moment, but again, the heaviest snow is expected. I believe you will need to watch this region right in here for some bands of snow that will try to develop as we move into this afternoon. It is something you do not see every day, my friends. In Winston-Salem, over to Greensboro, and not quite to Raleigh, but Durham could see some wintry precipitation. The fact that we are seeing some flakes in the Tar Heel State is always interesting, though it is not a major event in the mountains here. However, we do have winter weather advisories that extend to Asheville, all the way down to the South Carolina line, and once you get up onto the Cumberland Plateau, up toward Cookeville and over to Crossville, some snow is possible here in central Tennessee. That is located east of Nashville and west of Knoxville. If you are heading west on Interstate 40, you do go up in elevation there. Now, let's head west. There are some winter weather advisories for the snow that is falling at this very moment from Tulsa to Oklahoma City and back toward Amarillo. This snow is currently moving east. The system that is producing this snow is the same one that will be pushing that snowfall further to the east into the Virginia and North Carolina region, and into West Virginia. Some lake-effect snow is still occurring as well. We have some winter weather advisories there. There are even winter storm warnings posted up here near Sault Ste. Marie as we get that wind fetch coming off of Lake Superior. But let's go north and west. Take a look at this. It is quite interesting to see the large winter storm watches being issued across western Montana and Idaho up into this region. Some areas could receive 2 to 3 feet of snow over the coming week or so. This is also very interesting to see. We are expecting some significant snow falling not just here, but also farther to the south along the Idaho-Montana border, where we are talking about getting up near the national park. And how about this? We have not seen much snow this year in the Wasatch Range, but winter storm watches are now out east of Salt Lake City, with heavy snow expected in the mountains, where some areas could see a foot or so. And then once you get into Colorado, snow is expected there as well. You are going to have to get up fairly high in elevation before you encounter the snow here if you are headed east on Interstate 40. So, the valley here is not looking too bad. From Grand Junction up to Glenwood Springs, conditions should be manageable. But the mountains surrounding it and the mountainous regions here will start to see that snow. And then, of course, if you are on Interstate 70, you eventually get up in elevation near Vail, and as you cross the Continental Divide, you are certainly going to run into that snow, and it could be heavy at times. That pattern stretches north and south, again, all along these regions that typically see the snow. So, winter storm watches are out across this entire region, and after that, you know, there is going to be a lot of snow. I believe there will be. Let's talk about it. Let me show you where it is all headed. This is the European model, showing that snow moving across the southern United States and into Texas today. We are talking about the panhandle of Texas and into Oklahoma. That activity settles down as we head into this afternoon. And then, not much will be happening once we get into the afternoon hours. Again, there could be a little bit of snow. The European model does not show much here in parts of the Cumberland Plateau, but we see some rain showers across the south. A little bit of light snow is moving through parts of the prairies here. This is a very weak system that is going to bring some light snow to cities like Winnipeg and eastward into Ontario. However, heavier snow is starting to pick up across the west. We are talking about into Idaho and Montana. That snow could get very heavy. And we are seeing that snow picking up here across Virginia. We will talk about that more in just a second. As this system drops east, that snow could start to get heavy. A cold Arctic air mass is dropping south, creating a bit of an upslope flow. This means that snow could be heavy. And then, more Pacific moisture is intersecting with that air. So, now we have some good convergence of the air here. That means there will be good uplift, and I believe that means you are going to get precipitation. It is going to snow, and it is going to snow quite hard, too. That system drops into the Rockies again and further south into the Wasatch. And we are watching this Alberta Clipper. We are going to give them names this year. We are going to call it by name. This one is coming from Alberta. It is dropping south. It is not a Saskatchewan Screamer or a Manitoba Mauler. This is a classic Alberta Clipper. It is going to drop that snow from South Dakota into Iowa and the southern parts of Minnesota. And, it starts to weaken as it moves towards Chicago. I still think there is a chance for some snow here over the weekend in northern Illinois and northern Indiana, but it seems to fall apart as it drops to the south. So, perhaps it is not the classic Clipper that drops all the way in and then curves either north and east. It really just seems to die on the vine, so to speak. Cold, high pressure is building into the Great Lakes. We are bringing a lot of moisture into the Pacific Northwest, and another Clipper system is dropping south. I would call this one an Alberta Clipper as well. It is going to be a little bit farther to the north, putting that snow into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the southern parts of Ontario. We are going to get some snow here, and it is going to be cold, too, with temperatures well below freezing. That system has a chance of putting a little bit of snow into the northeast. It is a Clipper system, not a huge storm. And behind it, another system is bringing more snow. We seem to be on repeat with this pattern. There is another one after that, and then maybe a change toward the middle of the month. This is where it gets quite interesting. Some of the models have huge variables, with outcomes that are just all over the place. We will get into that later, as we get closer. In fact, a long-range outlook will likely be coming out sometime over the next couple of days. So, please make sure you subscribe and come back if that interests you, as we talk about what is left of the season and some of the long-range signals we are seeing. Now, this is a look at the GFS model. It is different. And frankly, the GFS has performed, in my opinion, so poorly lately, but I am going to show it to you. It takes this Clipper, if you will, and does something here on the coast. It suggests we are going to get a little bit of a coastal storm interaction here at the beginning of next week. I am not going to stop looking at it, but it is something to keep an eye on. And that northwest flow continues. Let's talk about the snow, though. Farther to the south and east. This is where, if you are tuning in today, you care about that snow picking up. Again, I believe this is the NAM model. I do love the NAM when it comes to precipitation types. Some light snow is falling across parts of Kentucky today. That snow will start to get heavier here as it moves into Virginia and West Virginia. I think even though you may not be under an advisory, you should watch this part of Kentucky and Virginia and southern West Virginia for some snow. And then as that moves east, some of that snow banding could get rather heavy here in central Virginia. So, we will see about that. Up toward Washington, D.C., it is going to be very difficult to get the snow up there. But there could be some snow that starts to pick up as we head into Friday morning. It could cause some problems too. It does not take much snow. I have seen massive pileups with just half an inch of snow that gets compacted at the right time, at the right temperature, and it might be falling at that crucial point in time too. Then, this system moves east. Now, down into North Carolina. I think if you look really closely here, especially for places like Greensboro and back to Winston-Salem, some of the snow may start off as, well, a little bit of rain, maybe switching to freezing rain, and then possibly ending as some snow here. I am trying to pull up the map and get into North Carolina a little bit closer for you. There we go. So, right, up toward Mount Airy, I believe it will be mostly snow. You have a pretty decent elevation change there. So I think you are all snow up here into Virginia along the Blue Ridge. But once you get down into the Piedmont, right? So we are talking about Winston-Salem. With Greensboro right here, the NAM model has you starting off as rain. If you go just a little bit to the west of Winston-Salem, it is snow, over to maybe some mix, and then to rain. So, it is a very tight gradient here. I think there is going to be a decent chance of disappointment across this area, where some will see snow, and others will see just plain rain or barely anything. But once you get up into Virginia, that snow chance starts to increase, especially even along these counties. Here along the North Carolina-Virginia line, there is a decent chance of that snow. And then as it moves into the Tidewater region, again, Virginia Beach here, Norfolk, Hampton Roads. Look at this. The NAM model tries to turn Hampton Roads over to snow. Please do not let your guard down on this just yet. If you are watching from Williamsburg along the peninsula, or from Richmond, I think we are all snow. You go north of that up to Charlottesville, it is all snow. And up into Washington, D.C., snow here as well. Into Maryland, though, the thing is, most of this precipitation will be just to your south. You can sort of see that on the map, but there will be a chance of some accumulating snow. It does not look like a lot. Washington, D.C., here. Baltimore, here. Some of that moisture is trying to creep up into Baltimore, and then into Delaware, down the Delmarva Peninsula. Some snow. Even the eastern shore of Virginia could see some snow once you get a little bit farther north here. And then, into New Jersey, the extreme. In the southern part of New Jersey, we may see a little bit of snow try to mix in, and then that system will be behind us as we move into Friday evening. Now, let's take a wider look at the national picture. We have discussed the situation in the mid-Atlantic, but you can see more snow is moving into the Great Lakes with that next system, bringing some colder air along with it. And that system then continues on into Ontario. So, there is a little more snow on the way for that region as we head into Saturday. Regarding snow totals, this is from the National Digital Forecast Database, and the amounts here are quite light. Now, I do believe this forecast may be underestimating things just slightly, while some of the other models may be a bit too generous. But we are still seeing a couple of inches of accumulation showing up across Virginia. Further north into Washington, D.C., the forecast is for just half an inch of snow. I would suggest we keep a close eye on this area, particularly in Virginia, where there could be localized amounts of 2, 3, or even 4 inches of snow, as some data does suggest that possibility. Meanwhile, lighter snow is expected back to the west across Texas and Oklahoma today. We are specifically talking about the Panhandle region, not into Dallas, and then further to the east. This is the new run from the European model. Let us take a closer look at Virginia and the Mid-Atlantic region. As I mentioned, some forecasts showed half-inch totals, and the European model is quite close to that for Washington, D.C., but it does show slightly higher amounts down toward Richmond. The model is attempting to show some of that banding developing, so it is certainly something we need to monitor. For our friends north in Virginia, perhaps in Winchester, if you are joining the live stream and have missed anything, you can always rewind, or you can go back and watch the replay at your convenience. Across the west, the snow is going to intensify in the Wasatch Range. That also includes the northern Rockies. The snowfall here in the Wasatch could really begin to increase again, with the possibility of more than a foot of snow, especially as you get into the higher elevations near the ski areas, such as toward Park City. Then, as the system moves into Colorado, more than a foot of snow is also possible in the highest elevations. Further north, that snow will be quite active across Idaho and Montana, and it is expected to become heavy over the next couple of days. In some areas, particularly in the highest elevations of Utah and Montana, we could see 2 to 3 feet, especially above 6,000 feet. A significant amount of snow is on the way for this part of the country over the next several days and into the following week. It is also going to continue snowing across British Columbia and Alberta. As you can see, this particular map takes you through Saturday. There may be a little snow falling out toward Edmonton and Calgary, while back toward Vancouver, temperatures will be much too warm for snow. But up in the mountains, we will really begin to see the accumulations increase, particularly in the Canadian Rockies and along the coastal ranges of British Columbia. I want to advance this forecast forward because the projected totals are quite remarkable. This forecast extends out toward the 12th and 13th of the month. You can see 129 inches here. It is an astonishing amount. 194 inches is even showing up here in Washington state, into the Cascades, with several feet of snow expected in the Canadian Rockies and the northern Rockies of the United States. And that will bring snow not just up into the Northwest Territories, but even down into the prairies. I believe a great deal of snow is on the way with this significant pattern change we are observing. Let's zoom in a little closer now to time some of this precipitation out as we work our way across the country. There is the snow that will be falling as we head into Friday and Saturday, which then begins to move east as our Clipper system gets underway. However, we will keep the snow going back in the mountains with some lingering snow showers. There will be a bit of a break across Utah and Colorado, but more snow is on the way for the Pacific Northwest. It will be too warm for snow in Portland and Seattle. But as you go up into the Cascade Mountains, that snow could become quite heavy as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, and also up into British Columbia and the Canadian Rockies, including Banff and Lake Louise. We expect significant snow here, but not as much down toward Calgary and on the downwind side of the mountains. You can see how the activity is concentrated in this region. This pattern continues Thursday and Friday, and this is when it becomes particularly active with a strong onshore flow, bringing a great deal of moisture and a lot of snow. Now, let's take a look at your temperatures today as we move further east. There goes our light rain and light snow moving off to the east through Tennessee and Kentucky today. A little bit of light snow is also falling across the Dakotas, as well as into parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota, as another reinforcing surge of cold air begins to move in. And then here comes the heavier snow on Saturday, starting to move eastward, which could bring some snow into Nebraska and South Dakota. It is still uncertain if Pierre will see accumulations, but there is definitely a chance for some snow. As this system tries to slide to the east, it does begin to weaken somewhat, but there will be some snow, I believe, along the southern Minnesota and Iowa border, and perhaps into Chicago once again as we head into this weekend. Then, that system pushes east as another cold blast of air moves in, bringing a little bit of lake effect snow, which will be an interesting situation to monitor. You will notice the position of this high-pressure system. The European model is trying to produce a band of lake effect snow for Chicago coming off of Lake Michigan, which is something we will have to watch closely. And then, we see a similar pattern again, with another clipper system, and another one after that. The temperatures are certainly cold today. These will be your high temperatures, barely getting into the single digits and teens. Lows tonight will be in and near or below zero. The white shading on the map is what indicates those temperatures. Then, as we head into tomorrow, it will be a little bit warmer, with temperatures at least into the 20s in some areas. Texas will be a little cool as well, with highs in the 60s. We will be back into the 70s though, across Texas and Louisiana as we head into Saturday. Another blast of cold air then moves south, keeping your temperatures quite cold. In fact, it may be even colder as we move toward the Great Lakes through the weekend and into the first part of next week. Further to the east, as we have discussed, there will be some snow showers across the northeast. We can see that system arriving through Virginia and West Virginia into the mid-Atlantic. Again, it is not moving very far to the north into Pennsylvania or the rest of New Jersey and New York. More snow will arrive from that weak system moving through southern Ontario. We also see a little bit of rain across the south, and that is just going to linger over southern Georgia and Florida. Then comes that next clipper system from the west. Now here's a look at your temperatures. It will be cold today, and cold tonight across the northeast. It will be well below zero in the interior areas where there is some fresh snow on the ground. These cold conditions are providing a great start to the ski season across the northeast, which is wonderful news for ski enthusiasts. Plenty of snow is on the ground, and it is going to stick around, with highs heading into Friday barely reaching the teens. It is also quite cold in the Ohio Valley, with highs in the 20s. It will be a little bit warmer heading into Saturday, and Sunday may also be slightly warmer the further south you go. However, it is staying cold across the Ohio Valley in places like Columbus and Indianapolis. It will be chilly there, so please be prepared, as another cold blast is on the way. Winter has certainly started. I understand some of you may not be seeing the snow you had hoped for just yet, but it is always instructive to look back at how a forecast develops. We were talking about the significant cold that was likely to grip much of the central and northern United States and into the northeast as we moved into December. We were first looking at that around the 10th, 11th, 12th, or 13th of November. Somewhere within that time frame, we observed that sudden stratospheric warming event developing around Thanksgiving. That event did happen, and this cold air is the result. Interestingly enough, there is another sudden stratospheric warming event anticipated in the coming weeks. We may get a rebound in temperatures, but the models suggest there is more cold like this on the way. Winter is just getting started. Officially, the season has not begun, but meteorological winter is here, having started on December 1st. The official start to winter is still a few weeks away. But it is certainly starting strong. This could be a sign of an active winter ahead. That is all the information I have for you at this time. Thank you for joining me, and please stay safe and warm.